I just heard the phone. I'm like, I know it's calling any second. So.
Oh, yeah. Sorry
well,
about that.
happy Monday.
Hey, you too. I didn't expect you to answer. I thought somebody else was going to answer.
Oh, no, we run a pretty lean, mean ship around here. I think the entire West Coast office consists of me and Courtney, and our entire East Coast office is Kevin and Fiona Russell. So let's say that's all we need.
There you go. Perfect. All right. Are you are you ready? In a good spot?
Yeah. This is this spot in the studio reception is pretty good. If I don't move around too much, I don't do jumping jacks or something crazy. So.
Perfect. All right, give me 1 second here. I'm gonna awkwardly introduce you, and then we'll start it up.
There is no awkward. I'm the king of awkward.
Perfect. Let me do this in 1 second here. All right, yeah. Yeah, so we're going to go ahead and do that. There's our sweet introduction here, but welcome to Replicon Radio. We're doing some awesomeness over here. Make sure you tune in every Monday, 6 to 10 p.m. Central, RepliconRadio.com. And we have a very, very special guest. I'd call him a living legend, if you would. Co-creator, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and much, much more, Mr. Kevin Eastman. Welcome to Replicon Radio, Kevin.
Awesome to be here with you, Paul. Thanks for inviting me on.
Oh, absolutely. I appreciate you taking the time out of your busy turtle schedule to hang out with some Replicons over here. Some dinosaurs.
No, it's funny. Dinosaurs. I love dinosaurs. No, it's funny when your introduction made me think of this funny moment with our son Shane. Is we were at some show and he doesn't think this is what I do for a living, so it's no big deal to him. And he's like, these people are standing in line to get autographs, and this young man came up and wonderfully, affectionately just said, wow, you're like a living legend. So then Shane, as a joke, used to call me the Ledge. Like, so you're like a ledge. You're like a living legend. And I'm like, well, yeah, around my house I'm not, but maybe outside of a house. So. But anyway, a pleasure to be here, and thanks again for inviting me on.
Absolutely. I'm just gonna refer to you as the Ledge the rest of the time. No.
There you go.
But I know we don't have a whole lot of time, and I'm sure you've kind of told your story pretty often. But I just kind of want to get, I guess, the cliff notes of how back to May 5th, '84, and how everything kind of led up to the the creation and how everything kind of got started for you and Peter and Mirage.
Sure, absolutely. Well, it's such a wonderful story of incredibly good timing and a whole lot of luck in that, I was trying to sell some of my work to a magazine that Peter Laird had once worked for in the Northampton, Massachusetts area. And they gave me Pete's address and said, you should meet this guy. You guys draw the same weird shit, superhero stuff. And
you're more than welcome to curse.
And so I wrote Peter a letter, and we got together and bonded immediately over our mutual hero, Jack Kirby. And then I moved back to Maine for the summer to work, and coincidentally, Pete had met a young lady that became his wife, Janine. Moved about 20 minutes from where I was working in Maine. So fall of '84, Peter said, "Hey, why don't you come down and we'll form a little studio and try to get work. We'll team up. We're stronger together. Let's team up and try to get some work." So it was around November of '83, around this time of the year. I thought to myself, if Bruce Lee was an animal, what would be the silliest animal he would be? And I did this doodle of a turtle standing upright with a mask on and nunchucks strapped to his arms, and I put it on Pete's desk to make him laugh. And I said, this is going to be a Ninja Turtle. Ha ha ha! The next big thing. Ha 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 ha! And Pete got it. Pete laughed, and that was our barometer. So he did a sketch and changed some things, improved some things, and then I thought, well, if one, why not a group like X-Men or Fantastic Four or something? So I did a sketch in pencil of 4 turtles, each with a different weapon in it, and added this title block that said Ninja Turtles. And then when Pete inked it in, he added Teenage Mutant to the title, and then that was it. We just looked at this wonderful little goofy doodle and said, "This is the dumbest thing we've ever seen, but we love it. Let's try to come up with a story that tells how they became the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles." Starting on that towards the end of 1983, we worked through the spring of '84, and then borrowed around $1,300 from my Uncle Quentin. We did this whole sales pitch to him of how we were going to pay him back. We're going to self-print this comic book. And so he loaned us the money. We printed them at a local printer in New Hampshire, near Dover, New Hampshire, where we were living. And they premiered at a very small Comic-Con in the Portsmouth traffic circle. Ralph DiBernardo, who owns Jetpack Comics up in Rochester, to this day, we get to see Ralph once in a while when we're back east. But he held a convention. That's where we premiered the issue. And, thought maybe if we were lucky, we'd sell a couple hundred copies here or there over the next year or so. But this crazy thing happened. All these incredibly awesome, soon-to-be lifelong fans started buying. They started buying the comic, and then we were, by 1985, January of '85, we were up and running with the second issue, and working full time, just drawing comic books, and have been doing so pretty much ever since.
That's so amazing. Just trying to trying to live your dream, pay back your uncle, and here we are 35 years later talking about Ninja Turtles still. So, I mean, that's
greatest gift ever,
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was, it is, thank you. No, I mean, it really did fulfill that childhood dream of both Peter and I wanting to be Jack Kirby, to write and draw and tell comic book illustrated stories like our hero. And that's one of those, again, childhood dreams you never think will actually happen, but you don't give up. You keep continuing the fight, and you work hard at it. And we were very lucky and very blessed, and equally so now to be still doing that for a living.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Congratulations on everything. Obviously, I mean that's amazing for anyone. Even the little stuff you did back then compared to where we are nowadays, like it's just crazy. So that's awesome.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Even with the obviously you guys had your own success with the original comic, and then I guess Mark Friedman came along. You guys got the toy deals, which led to the cartoons, which then it was just insanity. I'm sure. How much involvement? That's kind of when the names and the colors and all that other stuff kind of started happening. Were you guys fully involved in all that, the naming and all that too?
Oh, 100%. That was kind of before Mark Friedman entered the picture, Pete and I had completed, pretty much the first 10 to 12 issues. And so the foundation of all things Turtles was pretty well set. The history, the origins, the characters, the sub-characters. We'd done a role-playing game, where we introduced characters like Bebop and Rocksteady. They weren't named Bebop and Rocksteady, but they were a whole cast of mutant characters. So Mark Friedman came along and wanted to take it further down the road. We'd already been approached by a couple agents who we didn't feel were reputable, but we felt Mark was very earnest and straightforward, and we offered him a very, very short-term deal, pending if he could get us a deal to do toys and cartoons, as he said. The key component was full creative control. We had final say on the look, the names, the everything that was going to be adapted and adjusted from our idea, inspired by, again, guys like Jack Kirby and so many that had come before us, where, they didn't not only get to participate in the furthering into the world of entertainment and future success or profits from their characters under the work-for-hire system that had been in place for so long. We knew we were very lucky that we had those rights that they didn't, because we owned it and we controlled it. So we wanted absolute say. So we worked on and had final approval on every single cartoon show, movie, toy item. We designed half the toy items for the first probably 15 years of all things Turtles. We saw it first. We either did it, worked on it, or approved it, and we're part of it. Very diligently. We wanted that control. We wanted to protect our characters and what was done with them. So.
That's awesome. It's so smart that you guys knew what you had ahead of time and wanted to protect your characters and your IP essentially, because you see nowadays people like Jack Kirby, who was amazing, though his whole career is getting a lot of recognition now with all the the comic movies and TVs, and people are bringing his characters to life and stuff. And luckily for you guys, you get the opportunity to do that while it was, fresh and it was still yours. That's amazing as well.
No, it is. It's, and we, through the later success and, when I eventually sold my ownership, probably like late 90s, I sold my ownership to Pete, and then Pete then in turn sold it a decade later to Viacom. Those again were being the rights holder and the owners. That's the gift right there, is like you control your property and when to step out and when to step back in. And it's funny, after Pete then sold to Viacom then reached out to me and brought me back in to consult on some of the cartoon shows and movies. And I've been working on the IDW Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle comic book since 2011. And what's super cool is we literally just sent off to the printer issue 100 last week. Oh, wow. So December 11th, issue 100 of this 9-year adventure with the incredible Tom Waltz, who's the head writer of the series. We've been working on this thing for 9 years, and it's pretty exciting. It's a great what a great time, because that to me goes back to the very first success story. Part of the success story is that all I wanted to do was draw comic books for a living, and that the fact that I'm still doing that after 35 years, as you mentioned, is such a gift and a blessing.
Yeah, that's awesome. Congratulations. Yeah, it's crazy to see. Like, I know. I guess when you were back in the 90s, and I know a lot of like documentaries, and obviously the people always talked about like you and Peter kind of had a falling out or whatever. It's crazy to see that you came. Now you're back into the turtle world. Years later, you're drawing them, and you had like a cameo in the last movie. So that's awesome to see it come back around. And then I know recently they did that documentary on Netflix, and they kind of brought you guys back together. Was that like a big thing for you guys, or?
Well, honestly, I felt really bad for the guys, the Netflix producers of that series, because they, besides capturing some wonderful moments of Peter and I as part of the documentary, there was so many epically factually incorrect and misleading edits in the series that was just, I thought the show personally was horrible. Again, aside from some really wonderful moments with Pete and I. I mean, for example, Pete and I had gotten to.
Nope, I lost it. Hang on. You there?
Yeah, for the years, and that's
cut out for a second.
I was going to say that
Peter, what?
Oh no, so I was just to say that I felt terrible for the Netflix guys, because I thought that the show was really badly done for a number of ways, badly edited and things. For example, they made it sound like Pete and I had never been together in 20 years or something stupid, and in 2014, 2015, the Turtle Power documentary came out, which had Pete and I like literally standing in the vacant lot where House 28 Union Street, where we created the Turtles. We were reminiscing about old times. Pete and I had kept in touch. We did covers for the 30th anniversary 5 years ago for the Turtles. They made it like this big momentous thing. And even, one of the funniest parts, one of the most laughable moments was one of the interviewers, when they first interviewed me, they go, oh, so it says on Wikipedia that you were born in Springvale, Maine. And I said, what's funny is I don't know where Springvale, Maine is. I've never been to Springvale, Maine. I was born in Portland, Maine, and I said, I actually went to Wikipedia and tried to change it. And I said, look, this is Kevin Eastman. I have a birth certificate. I was born in Portland, Maine, not Springvale, Maine. And I said, it was really funny that I tried to change it so many times on on Wikipedia, that they blocked me from my own biography. And I go, I have proof. This is me, and I was born in Portland, Maine. And so I told the Netflix interviewer, I said, look, I was born in Portland, Maine, and blah, 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 told him this whole story. And so what do they do when they show the opening scene in the Netflix documentary? He says, Kevin Eastman from Springvale, Maine. Jesus. And I went like, they know that they like you said, I think it was like reading or reading a history book where they took out every other page, so it made no sense. It was badly, and again, they really made it sound like Pete and I had never been together. We had not been together in a long time. And I'm like, you guys watched the documentary, the Turtle Power documentary that shows us together and hanging out, 5 years ago.
Wow.
So they had some story that they wanted to tell, and again, I want to stress to any fans listening, the moments between Pete and I were precious and beautiful and great. And Pete and I did have a falling out over the Venus de Milo, the live action Girl Turtle series, but we've sort of made peace with that, and we wanted to reconnect. And we've been talking to each other through emails and various get-togethers, and even hung out, while they were shooting some of the sequences for Toys That Made Us. But I know that Netflix will lash out and they'll say things like, well, he's upset because we showed that he didn't get part of the $60 million that Pete sold the property for. And what's really stupid about that is like, well, I'd already made $30 million off the Turtles in the history of the Turtles. I sold my rights to the Turtles to Pete for $2 million in the late. What it was valued at. I'm very happy and I'm so blessed that I've had this character in this creation. And when I decided to leave the Turtles, it was because it was time for me to leave and do other things. But I'm grateful I'm back now. But the Netflix people had a great chance to do something really good, and they just blew it. And I feel bad for them that they messed it up so badly, because it could have been something really special, and I didn't think it was.
Yeah, no, they definitely emphasize on the $60 million thing and the you and Peter thing for sure. So I'm glad we got to clear that up. So that's
well, yeah, it's the thing is, it's like I've read so many interviews where. Over the years where they said I did this and I did that, and I'm like, wow, I wish I'd done that. I never did that. Really, but it's just the story starts and it sort of, it's like it goes further down the grapevine. It changes and people adapt to whatever. The stories get better, and so whatever. It's all good. I could not be happier with my relationship with Pete and the Turtles, and the fact that I still get to hang out. Courtney and I these days, we do 20 conventions a year all over the globe, and you get to meet some of the most awesome fans, and I get a chance to thank them for giving me the greatest job ever, which is I get up, and this morning before we get on the call, I was working on Urban Legends issue 21 cover. So
that's awesome.
There you go. I'm drawing turtles.
You're still doing it, man. You're back. You're doing what you love, and that's incredible. We'll actually see you at our friends over at with Twisted and Magic Ninja doing Astronomicon in February, and we will be out there and we will see you there. So that'll be awesome. I think that's our first. I think that there might be a kickoff show of the year, which is excited. Yeah, we wanted to come out there for a while, so we're thrilled to be going out there. That's awesome. Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that. I know you did. They have their own comic with drawn by Dirk Manning. I know they had you did a cover for them with the Haunted Hions.
That's fantastic. Dirk's artwork is fantastic, by the way. And they invited me to do a cover, and I was thrilled. I'm glad I could fit it into my schedule, and that was a real blast. So I had a lot of fun with doing that, and looking forward to meeting the Twisted guys in person.
Yeah, I actually, it's funny. I actually reached out to Jamie Madrox because we didn't tell our listeners we were doing this interview, but I told him and see if he had any questions, and he was actually wanting me to ask you I told him I knew the answer, and I told him what the answer was and what I thought, but obviously a lot of things are wrong on the media. So he wanted to know what was your favorite hero, like Marvel or DC era, growing up as a child?
Oh, great question. Because you can see just from the bits and pieces included in the Turtles' actual origin story that Daredevil was one of my all-time favorite superheroes. But I liked, that's kind of hands down as far as a superhero was Daredevil, but I liked in the Marvel universe, it was Daredevil, Captain America, and Iron Man were some of my absolute favorites. Batman on the DC side was one of my all-time favorites, mainly the kind of hero that I gravitated to were the ones that I guess were a little bit more believable, like Batman was a detective and he had to train and he had the skills and he had his gadgets and kind of James Bondy kind of stuff, without all that. And I sort of liked that. And then Daredevil was the same thing. His superpower was, he trained himself physically to be that powerful after losing his sight, which I thought that was, I don't know. I completely dug Daredevil. That was one of my favorites.
Achievable heroes. Man, I was wrong too. I told him what I thought the answer was, and it blew his mind, and now I have to unblow his mind.
What did you
Commandy,
say?
Jack Kirby's
Commandy. Hell yeah. No, that's, honestly, I thought you were, if you said, I see Commandy more as, Commandy actually is by far my favorite all-time comic series. I thought you were asking about superheroes.
Well, yeah.
But no, Commandy was... No, but Commandy was... I guess that's just a superhero, isn't it?
Or a hero.
But I thought it was a hero for sure. But because I would say that the first movie I ever saw in an actual movie theater was Planet of the Apes. And when Jack Kirby introduced Commandy, it had that same, vibe, but, on steroids, if you will, with that now all the animals, not just the apes, the lions, tigers, wolves, everything were now ruling the earth, and the animals were the slaves, except for Commandy, this last boy. And, growing up in a small town in Maine, I felt like I was Commandy when I was a kid, but that was, I studied it more like a boy's adventure or adventure hero, but he was definitely a hero, and that is my all-time favorite comic of all.
Awesome.
Of all, Daredevil is my favorite superhero, hands down. But Commandy was it. So you weren't wrong.
Perfect. Well, good. I'm glad I got it right. I know we're running out of time. So other than like Turtles, I know you're working on some new stuff. You have like the Totally Twisted Tales with Simon Bisley coming out like next year with Clover Press. Is there any other like original new characters or ideas or things we can look for from Kevin Eastman as well?
For sure. Turtles? Absolutely. Yeah, have you seen the Drawing Blood series that we've been doing? That's well, if you haven't, let me.
I mean, I saw it. I haven't read it.
No, but it's you'll love it. You'll dig it. It's so basically we did a going back to my roots, I guess, if you will. We did a campaign through the awesome powers of Kickstarter and the awesome fans that supported our Kickstarter in 2017. Co-creator David Avalone and I came up with this story that's kind of it's like a Spinal Tap meets Barry set in the world of comics, if you will. It features this character named Shane Bookman, so it's semi-autobiographical in that it's a completely fictional true story, based a little bit on me, but also based on a number of cartoonists that I've known over the years. And, we would swap stories of adventures with Hollywood, adventures with publishers, adventures at comic conventions, the crazy things, the anecdotes that happen to all of us. And so I blended them all into this fictional character called Shane Bookman, who he and his brother Paul created a set of characters in the early 90s called the Radically Rearranged Ronin Ragdolls, these 3 samurai cats that live in Queens and they fight crime. So the parody is there. But if you go to kevineastmanstudios.com, you can see, you can buy we still have some of the first trades. We did it as floppies. We did the first 4 issues of the comic, plus the one shot, which is the origin story of the Radically Rearranged Ronin Ragdolls. And then earlier this year, actually middle of this year, in the summer, we did another Kickstarter. We raised enough money to do another 4 issues. The whole first character arc for Shane Bookman covers 12 issues, so 4 is in the can. We're working on the next 4 right now, and then we're hoping that we've been saving the profits that we've gotten from the first 2 series to fund the final 4 issues that we hope to roll right into next year. So it's called Drawing Blood. It's a completely fictional story set in the world of comic books. I'm actually even one of the characters in the story. I meet Shane in one of the episodes and that kind of thing. So it's everything you know about comics and, everything we know in it, except is exactly as we know it, you and I here today, except Shane Bookman's story is fictional, set within this universe. So you'll get a kick out of it. It's lots of gangsters and guns and drugs and ex-porn star wives and shooting, and it's just really...
That sounds awesome,
His cartoon characters come back and haunt him, and it's really nutty, but check it out. You'll dig it.
I'll definitely check it out. And everybody else, just go to check that out. Check out the website. There's tons of stuff, original art, signed comics, signed toys. You got all kinds of stuff over at the kevineastmanstudios.com. So if you're a fan or ever were a fan, go check it out. There's really cool stuff over there.
There's all kinds of free stuff. You can go behind the scenes. You can see lots of snapshots and photos and things like that. If you want to know where we're going to be in 2020, our convention schedule usually goes up around this time, towards the end of the year. But like you already said, there's some really fun artifacts, tour T-shirts, and trading cards and items that if you're a hardcore Turtle fan and it's something you haven't been able to find online, you can probably find it on our website, or we can help you find it. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
so I got one more question. I know we're out of time, but we asked all of our guests. We do a lot of musical artists. And it's funny because I'm a huge music guy. I interview music fans. My first actual concert was the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle band. when they did the Coming Out of Our Shell tour.
I dig it. I love it.
But so essentially, if you have like, I know obviously you're a big comic guy, but I'm sure most people enjoy music. If you had 3 records that like either inspire you as a person or as an artist, or maybe you listen to when you're drawing, or just something that helped you throughout your life that you're just clinging towards, 3 records that you just could never live without, what would they be?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Because, and without being too long-winded, I grew up. My mom was into country and western. My dad was into blues, R&B, pop, Mozart, everything. So I spent my whole life being exposed to just about every kind of possible music you could imagine. First record I ever bought with my own money was Kiss Destroyer. Was a huge, Beatles fan, but I loved, everything from, U2 to Pink Floyd was one of my favorites growing up. Bob Marley, Legends. The first concert I ever went to, my dad took me to Bob Seger and the Silver Bullet Band live. So I would say, let me see.
I mean, we're not going to hold you to it. It's not set in stone. Just if I asked you again tomorrow, you might name 3 different ones. You never know.
Totally. It's funny because I actually in my studio, I was just watching again, like, big fan of U2. I went and saw them live at the 2001. They did the Elevation tour in Boston. One of the best concerts I've ever seen in my life. Roger Waters did a show in Oregon years ago called In the Flesh Live, where he had put together this band, and they did it was like the greatest hits of all the Pink Floyd era songs that he wrote. I've watched that countless times. I just watched Bob Marley Legend, in the studio again recently. Blues, I was watching they did DVD was produced, I think, T-Bone Burnett maybe. It was like American Roots music, Down from the Mountain. I'm all over the place, but Beatles, awesome. Beatles, Bob Marley, and Beatles, Bob Marley, and I'm trying to think of my favorite blues artists because there's so many. James Cotton.
There you go.
Anything by James Cotton.
Perfect.
Okay, that's what I'll stick with for today. You said you ask me again tomorrow, it'll be 45 different ones because I do love my music and
that's awesome.
Listen to a lot of stuff.
That's good.
So,
that's awesome.
Appreciate it, man.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for hanging out with us, man. Hopefully, there's a million other things I'd love to talk to you about. Female turtles, buying tanks, all kinds of awesome stories. So hopefully we get to chat again. But welcome to the Replicon Radio family, man. We're always here for you if you need to get the word out about something. And I guess we'll see you at Astronomicon.
Look forward to meeting you in person. Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk again next year where we get some more fun, crazy, nutty stuff going on. So enjoy the chat. You have an absolutely great day.
You too, man. Thank you very much.
Thanks, man. All right. Cheers. Bye.
Bye. Yeah. What? How dope was that? 27 minutes of awesomeness with Kevin Eastman, co-creator of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and all kinds of other dopeness. Go check out his website, kevineastmanstudios.com. Hit him up on social medias. Tell him you heard this interview and you loved it and you want him back and you want more because there's so much more dopeness for us to talk about. New female turtles that obviously you heard him mention him and his partner had a falling out about back in the day. Now there's a new one that's actually working. And apparently back when he got his first check, he bought a tank. I don't know if that's true. Obviously, we actually dispelled some falseness in huge companies' documentaries. So hopefully we get a chance to talk to him again, man. But Kevin, if you're listening, thank you very much for taking the time out. You literally are a legend. We appreciate it. And much love, y'all. Replicon Radio, Kevin Eastman.